Have you heard of the Make 9 challenge? If you're a creator, you probably have. If you haven't, don't worry, I'll let you know all about it. Hi, I'm Tiffany of TipStitched and welcome to my channel where we discuss all things sewing. So first up, what is the Make 9 challenge? Well, it was created by Rochelle of Home Merle Handcrafts back in 2015. It was an Instagram challenge where she urged creatives to make less but with more intention. Now, I don't know about the making less part. I mean, do you see my stash right here? I need to do a lot of making. But I do like the more intention. So how does this work? You create a bingo card, essentially a 3x3 grid, where you add 9 goals that you have for the year. Now, these can be specific patterns that you want to make, or skills you want to learn, or just categories that you want to focus on. So it's very open, it's very fluid, and it's a good way to set a large goal for the year and then gives you ample time to achieve each goal. I haven't made a Make 9 board in a few years, but this year I decided to jump back into the challenge, and I want to share with you what's on my board for 2024, and I'm going to check back in over the year and let you know what I've checked off and when I get bingo. First up is shoes. Now, I first purchased the I Can Make Shoes course in 2020 during COVID. I had really lost my sojo and I wanted something to sort of spark that creativity and that maker spirit back in me, so I bought the course. What ended up happening was I bought roller skates around the same time and I fell back in love with roller skating and never really got around to doing the shoemaking. But fast forward to 2022, I finally watched that course and attempted my first pair of shoes. Now, as expected, they were not perfect. They were far from it, actually. But just like the first thing I ever sewed wasn't great, I knew that if I stuck with it, I could master the skills. So I moved on to making a second pair. And this pair, I actually documented part of the process, so I'll link to those videos down below so you can take a look at them. Again, that second pair wasn't perfect, but they were an improvement over the first pair and I could actually wear them out. Then I just never got around to making the third pair. I didn't lose my motivation. I was still very passionate about wanting to make shoes, but I needed to do a little bit more learning. I needed to do a little bit more practicing, and I had only bought so many supplies with my initial order. Obviously, I could have just ordered more supplies and more leather and just kept going, but I think I got distracted and focused back on sewing for a while. So this year I want to split my time and really focus back on learning, well, relearning, because I'm sure I've forgotten everything at this point, about making shoes, because I made 2 pairs of sandals. I want to try a closed toe. I want to try a closed-in pump, and hopefully one day I can get to boots and sneakers and other fun designs. But you know, I'm going to take it one step at a time, but do expect to see at least 1 pair of shoes from me this year. And of course, I'll document the process and share it here on my channel. So make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out whenever I get around to doing that. Next up, even though these are in no particular order, is quilts. And by quilt, I mean quilt block, because the chances of me sewing an actual full quilt this year are slim to none, so don't get excited. But I do think that I want to attempt to at least make a quilt block, and that is surprising because quilting was something I swore I was not interested in and was never going to do. And I guess that's why the saying is never say never, because you never know. I attended QuiltCon this year, well this past year, because it was held in Atlanta, and Lisa Woolfork of Black Women Stitch actually had a room reserved just for Black creatives to come together and fellowship and have a good time. And one of the activities that we had to do was an AccuQuilt die applique. Now, I was not familiar with AccuQuilt because, of course, I'm not a quilter, but Lisa had these dies for Black Women Stitch and the AccuQuilt cutters that would cut it for you, and I learned how you could do applique. Now, of course, most of the ladies there who were quilters probably used these appliques on a quilt. I, however, used my applique on this sweatshirt, and I realized that the cutter could have many uses even if I wasn't a quilter. So, of course, y'all know I love gadgets. I now have an AccuQuilt Go, and I will link to what that is and all that does in the description. And then, of course, look for me to share videos with you of me making my first projects with that AccuQuilt. But because I have the machine, I figured why not at least attempt a quilt block, because I have some of the shapes that you need to make like a basic block. And I think that that is probably the most tedious part of quilting, or at least my presumed most tedious part of quilting, is cutting out several strips or squares or triangles of fabric that need to be the same precise size and all that good stuff. Well, the AccuQuilt cutter takes that out for you, and you just roll it through, and then you have your perfect triangles and you're ready to go. So now I have a feeling that I really want to attempt making a quilt block. It's very geometric, and y'all know I'm a math major / engineer. So I think it would be sort of in the realm of like my interest. It's like sort of geometry, right? When you look at a quilt, to attempt one of those. Now, again, I don't think I'll be making a whole quilt, because the idea of backing one and doing all of that seems like a lot of work. But I'm at least going to do the quilt block, because I'm told that someone else can do all the backing and all that stuff for you. Like, I don't have to do that. Is that right? We'll see. I'll at least get one block done. Finishing off my top row is intimates. And I've added this to the list because underwear and bralettes are extremely easy to make. They also take very little fabric and can often just be made from your knit scraps. And underwear and bralettes are very expensive in the store. Like, even at a Walmart or a Target, you're going to be paying a pretty penny for those items, when you can make them out of the fabric that you have left over, or you can make a bunch from just 1 yard of fabric that you do purchase. Like, there's just no reason not to make your own underwear. I think that underwear, like swimsuits, has the connotation of being really difficult for those that are afraid of sewing knits or that haven't worked with elastic a lot, but they're actually super simple to sew, and there are dozens of free patterns out there. So, like, again, you probably have scraps large enough so you can always just give it a try. So for me, I feel like you can never have enough underwear, and I am in my era of over 40 and wanting to be comfortable, so all I want to wear is like bralettes. So those two things are on my list that I need to batch sew. My plan is actually to draft my own bralettes, which I've already done, but that need some more tweaking. And then to try several of the underwear pattern and see which ones are my favorite, and then just create a ton of those, because I feel like you never have enough. Now, actual bras or brasiers with underwire cups are still a little bit intimidating to me, and I don't know why, but I'm definitely going to get with Nikki G, the like bra guru, to figure out how to tackle that as well. Not sure that that's going to happen this year, but there's no reason for it not to. So hopefully I can come back at some point this year and say that I made an actual underwire bra. But if not, I definitely will have bralettes and undies. Now, will y'all see them? I don't know. I have to figure out how to share that, but I guess I can share it on my mannequin if nothing else. I'm not a bag girly. If you're in Black Sewing Network, you know what I mean. But I'm not one that typically makes bags. Now, that's really because I don't carry bags. I'm not a big purse person. I'm going to carry a wallet. I'm going to carry a clutch. I'm going to carry something very small. And I have made a few fanny packs and things like that, especially when I was doing a whole lot of roller skating, but I don't really make bags. But when Talia's Threads came out with the mag bag, I was like, oh, maybe I need to be a bag girly. So I did my first attempt at making a true bag, and that is this, which, as you can tell, even probably from a distance, is not perfect. So we definitely need to be working on some of these skills, but it's always fun to learn something new. And this was different techniques that you might not use in apparel sewing, and it sort of gave me a little bite of the bug to try some more bag making. I'll definitely be making the mag bag again. And I also would like to make a duffel bag, or maybe a crossbody. We'll see. But at the very least, you'll see a finished mag bag from me this year. Just like in bingo, the center square is a free space. And that's because I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my... Okay, no, seriously. It's because I do want to give myself the flexibility to add something throughout the year to my goals list. I mean, a year is a long time. Certainly something's going to pique my interest that I'm going to want to try or attempt or add to these goals. And that free space gives me An easy block to check off, yes, but also the flexibility to add something before the end of the year. Some of you may know my husband and not even know that you know my husband because he is ATL Grow. I will link to his channel somewhere on the screen as well in the description box. I know many of us who make our own clothes also grow our own food because if you're a DIYer, you're a DIYer. So if you're interested in gardening, be sure to check him out. Well, even before he gardened, he did the majority of the cooking in our house. So he's asked for an apron many times over the years, and I've never gotten around to it. And then when he started gardening in 2020, it seemed even more important for him to have an apron, and it's been 3 years and I still haven't made him one. So this year I am going to be making him an apron, and I want to use my Cricut to put his logo on it and everything so he can wear it in his YouTube videos and when he's out in the yard working. And you guys will know because he will wear it and he'll have it on the videos on his YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to his channel as well if you have any interest in gardening and growing your own food. All right, we are down to the last 3. We're on the bottom row of the board. And we have jeans here. Now, I always say I'm going to make a pair of jeans. I say it every year. I say it every spring. I say it every fall. It's always on my vision board. I always say I'm going to make jeans. I never make jeans. So hopefully this year I will make jeans. Now, I've made jean-like pants, right? I've made the Mountain View jeans by TipStitched, but they're pull-on, so no fly, no zipper, no belt loops, no nothing, right? It's not even really a waistband because it's elastic. And I've made Mimi G's Simplicity 8655 twice. I made it in a skinny taper jean out of a stretch twill, and then I made it out of a stretch denim and an extreme flare. But again, that has a side zip, so, and no waistband. So still not what you think of when you think of traditional jeans. So hopefully this year I can get around to actually making real jeans. The pattern that I have in mind, at least of right now, I reserve the right to change my mind, is Chalk and Notch's Aisle jeans. Now they came out with these last year and I purchased them when they dropped, and I've printed it out. I've even taped it together and cut it, but I've not sewn it. So at least it's ready to go. And I picked those because they have all the traditional things of jeans, the fly zip, waistband, belt loops, all the good things, but they're also wide leg, although there's a flared option. And I just think that the wide leg will be easier to fit. Also, wide leg is really on trend right now, so yeah. They're high-waisted as well, which I really like. So it's most likely going to be that pair. Hopefully I'll complete them this year. I know Chalk and Notch is doing the Aisle jeans for the month of January, and I know Nikki G is doing Jeanuary. But considering that we're halfway through the month, I don't think that I'm going to get them done in January, and I'm not going to pressure myself to do so. As long as I get them done in 2024, it'll count for the Make 9 challenge, so we'll be good. Knitting is something that I have wanted to try for a while now. I just think once you do one creative thing, you just sort of gravitate to wanting to learn others. And I know a lot of sewists who knit or crochet, and I just would really like to learn how to knit. But I've been saying that for the last couple of years, and I've never really picked up my needles. Now, I say that because one of these boxes is dedicated just to knitting supplies. So even in this one, I have this kit that I grabbed from Marshall's that came with the needles and the yarn and the instructions to knit a hat. And then I looked at the instructions and realized that that was probably going to be a lot more difficult than I thought. Yeah, I probably just want to practice and just, you know, learn how to knit and purl first. So in this box is also various size knitting needles and yarn and things to at least get started, none of which I have done. So this year I'm going to do it. My really attraction to wanting to learn how to knit is, as much as I love to sew, sewing is very solitary and it is very stationary, if that makes sense, right? And I spend a lot of my year following my daughter around to games, with her league, with her high school, practices, pickups and drop-offs, road trips to places, that kind of thing. And although my sewing machine has been on vacation with me before, sewing is not really something you can do, you know, while you're sort of in motion. And in my mind, knitting is something that I could carry with me. I could do it in the car, I could do it on the sidelines, I could do it while I'm waiting for her to get out of practice, I could do it when my husband's driving us somewhere, you know, I could do it while I'm watching TV, you know, those kinds of things. So I would really like to learn how to knit. I think it would be cool to make my own scarves or even hats and socks. And maybe if I get good enough, like sweaters and tops and things. It just seems like a really cool hobby to get into. I just don't know why think I have time to do all of these hobbies, because I don't, which is why I have kits like this that have barely been opened. But this year, I'm at least going to pick up my needles and make like a little square of something. I also got very intimidated because I realized that there was like the English way and the continental way, and there's like left-handed ways, and there's all these ways. Then you have to learn how to knit and purl and then like put the combinations together. And I'm sure all you knitters are like, oh, but it's not that difficult. Then there's different size needles, different material kind of needles. Like, do you like wood? Do you like metal? Do you like plastic? And then it's like they go in the round. There's a lot. And I'm the kind of person who likes to do a lot of research before I start something. So I need to just start, right? That's what I always say, just start. And I need to just start knitting and trying to learn the process. So if anybody has a recommendation of someone I should follow so that I can teach myself how to knit, let me know in the comments, please. Lastly, I have machine covers, and that is because this has been on my list for years. I have 2 sergers, 2 sewing machines, and a cover stitch. And out of the 5 machines, only one of them has a decent cover. And that's because the cover stitch came with a heavier duty cover in the box itself. The rest of the machines I either got used and they didn't have a cover, or they came with that cheap plastic cover that over the years has either got lost or torn or ripped or whatever. So I plan on using Closet Case's sewing machine cover, or do they have the serger cover? They make a pattern for a cover, and I'm going to use that for most of the machines. Is whatever it's not for, I think I can adapt it to that. I've had the fabric that I want to use because black, white, and red has been my aesthetic ever since TipStitched has been TipStitched. So I'm going to use the fabric that I've been planning to use for like the last 5 years to make these machines. I want to do this primarily to protect the machines so they can, you know, stay clear of dirt or anything like that. But also because I want to give my room a cleaner look when my machines aren't in use. And once I get those done, I will probably finally get around to doing a sewing room tour. Alright, so that's all for my Make 9 board for 2024. And if you noticed a theme, is that I really want to challenge myself this year. You'll notice about half the board is outside of my comfort zone of apparel sewing. I'm talking quilting, shoemaking, bag making, and learning how to knit. Those are things that I'm really not that familiar with, and I want to either learn more or learn from the beginning how to do those things. And then the other half of my board is almost more utilitarian. The apron, the sewing machine covers, and the intimates are things that you need on a day-to-day basis. And even the one thing that I have that falls very strictly into the apparel sewing category is something that I've never really sewn before, which is traditional denim jeans. They're probably still going to be stretched though. Anyway, those things are what I'm excited about for 2024. Now, of course, I'm still going to be doing my typical apparel sewing, so be prepared to see plenty of dresses and coordinates and things that I typically make. But those 8 things, because I gave myself that free space, are the things that I really plan on challenging myself to do this year. And that's why I wanted to make sure to put them in something like this Make 9 board for accountability, as well as making this video and sharing it with you. I also plan on making so many more YouTube videos this year, so please be sure to like and subscribe so you can see my progress over 2024 with these Make 9 goals. So until I check back in, happy sewing. Bye.